1 second. Okay, so we're just going to run through the process. So first of all, you download the tool, and the tool's available on our website. It's downloaded as a zip file, an archive, so most of you should have used those in the past. It's just a bunch of files together. You expand the zip file, so you end up creating a folder like this. And if people do have any questions about how to actually do this, I'll give you my email address at the end of this, and by all means send me an email. The steps are quite simple. If you have access to an IT team, that they'll be able to assist you as well. So you will end up with the various different files associated with the application, and then all you need to do is click on setup, and then the application basically runs. And that's really all it is to actually run the application itself. Now, as always, please read the setup instructions. So I'll show you what they look like. These are the and they should be reasonably intuitive. There's a couple of things that you need to be aware. One of the components the application uses is called an iFilter, and it's produced by Adobe, and you can see in the instructions it shows you where to download this from. So we haven't packaged all that up within the application because Adobe are continually releasing updates for it. So by following one of these links, you can then download that yourself. And what that effectively allows the application to do is look inside all of your PDFs if you have a lot of those. Now, the application can be sort of configured in a few ways. So as you can see, it looks quite simple to look at. I'll explain the various components. So first of all, you need to specify an input file, which we refer to as the user data file. Now, the preferred way of doing this is to look at your structured data that you have already within your business, so your finance system, your CRM, and export a list of your customers, whether they're users or B2B organizations. That then produces a user input file, because what the application does is effectively a sort of search for what you tell it to within all of your documents. So for this example, we've got an input file that contains about 8,000 user details. And those user details represent all the people that we have had some sort of relationship with over the years. So most of you should be able to access that data. You may need to speak to your IT teams to do that. The alternative way of doing it is within the application folders. You can see there is, I think it's in the test folder, and you can see databases here of just random names, lots of last names, lots of first names. And you can, if you wish, use that as a search criteria. So if you use the last names, it will look for all of those names within the data that you have. So if you don't have any structured way of getting that, that's a reasonable way to start. So you'll find all the documents that have got John Smith in it and other names. However, bear in mind, if someone's got a slightly more unusual name, the application then won't pick it up. So let's start by putting the usernames in here. So the application is now scanning through that file, and now it's telling me it's found 8,800 records that I want it to look for. Now, it's saying that it's one field deep, so that input file, you can place as many names as you wish to in there, or as many other records associated with that user. So you can have just an email address, you could have a name and an email address, you could have any other pertinent information that you want the file to look for. So we've specified that. Then we have a few options here. We either specify a folder that we want it to scan, or we specify a SharePoint URL. Now, for those of you that are using things like Google Drive, there are means for you to map a drive to a Google Drive, and it's a relatively simple procedure. So it basically means your Google Drive becomes like an M drive, and the application needs to see it in that way to be able to scan it. And if you've got a SharePoint configuration, you can put the SharePoint URL here, and it will add that in as well. So you can add as many of these as you want. So I'm just looking at a single folder here. It is designed to do millions and millions of documents. So although you could quite happily use it on a home folder, you could equally run it, and this is the way it was designed, on the base of your user folder on your servers. So if you've got 1,000 users, it will go through and find across all the user data or the personal identifiable information. Over to the right here, there are a couple of other options. It can drill down through attachments. So if it finds a file, let's imagine you've got a Word document and you can actually drag other documents within the Word document. It can drill down into that, but that slows it down quite considerably. And the get file owner is another option. It takes a little longer, but it will also pull back, and it's probably worthwhile keeping this option checked. It pulls back who owns the file. So that way, when you look at the report, you can start attributing the personal identifiable information with the owners of the data or who created that data originally. And under this is something called a regular expression. This bit is a little bit more techy, and effectively it's a sort of equation that helps it recognize credit cards. Now, it's exposed to you because those that understand about regular expressions, you can customize that for your own needs. There's quite a lot of stuff on the internet about it. It's sort of a standard way of creating these things, and it means that whatever data you want, you can put a regular expression in there, and the system will find that across your entire files or your files. And then, so once we've set that up, we simply click on Start. Now, it's going to utilize the CPU a bit, so I hope it doesn't slow the presentation down at all. And you'll see it starts scanning through data quite quickly. And it generally does about 1 gigabyte of data an hour. So that gives you a sort of idea of how long it will take to complete things. Now, we've been asked, does it hammer the server and cause performance issues? No, it doesn't. The application has been designed to limit its performance to 10 threads. So it's the equivalent of 10 people browsing the network. And for most cases, that's completely fine. And that will then now just go now. You can see already it's matched up 463 user records. It's encountered one file that had a problem reading, and it's found 2 potential credit card entries. And the idea is you just leave them. And depending on how much data it's looking for, it might take hours, it could take days, it doesn't matter. Now the free version, as you can see on the bottom, is limited to 50,000 files. So, smaller organizations, that should be completely fine. Now, when it finishes, and I'm going to stop it now, yeah, where the file saves the data is effectively the folder that it was used to run it. And as you can see, the folder path is pretty long, and no one's going to enjoy typing that in. So all you need to do is actually click on that folder path, and you can see immediately it pops up the folder it's running from. And there is your log file. And that log file effectively contains all of the matches. We'll have a very quick look at it. But you can see here, it's found different names, the sort of information it shows you, where it found the name, it shows you the path, the actual file name it was in, what type of file it is, was it PowerPoint or whatever, when the file was last accessed, when it was last written to, when it was created, the file size, and how deep within the directory structure was that file found. And to be helpful, it also shows you the text that was on either side of the matched keyword. So you can just understand the context in which that was found, and then the owner of the file. So you can do what you want to with that data now. You can generate whatever reports you might want to in Excel. However, those that are familiar with Excel know that when you get sort of to 10,000, 20,000 records, Excel's not very happy. So what we've done is within the download folder, you have, let me just go back to where I was, this one, you will have a file called Gdpr reports. Now that is a ClickView file. So once you've downloaded the free version of ClickView, you can then open that file. And when you do so, the ClickView will say to you, do you want to recover that file? Because it's not associated with your account. You say yes to that, and it will be a completely blank document. And what it will look like is this. So you'll open it and click View, and this is the first screen you see. And what it's asking you is that file that we just created, what's the path name for that? So again, let me just go through these steps. So what you do, you go back into here. So that is ultimately the path, user log.csv, and you copy that and you effectively paste it into that. And now ClickView knows where the input file is for ClickView. And if you find the instructions difficult to follow, then please let us know, and we can revise those. So once it's in, then you click Control-R, or there's an option under File to reload it, and you can see it now starts loading in all of the information it's found regarding the personal identifiable information. So here's a demo of the data we found, and some of the names have just been concatenated. So these tabs allow you to look at all of the data across your organization in different ways. So you can see here, these are all the people it's found. So if I wanted, if I had a data access request, I'd click on the name, and immediately it tells me all the files where that name has occurred. And you can see there's quite a few of them. So, it's typical for pertinent customers' names or users' names to appear in hundreds and hundreds of files. So strictly speaking, when there's a right to be forgotten, you need to be able to remove them from these files. So this immediately gives you a view as to where those files are. It also gives you an overview of the different file types. So you can see what volume of files, where are most of your personal identifiable information. Is it in Excel documents? Is it in emails? Is it in Word documents? And this just looks at the folder depth and where are most of those files found. And then you can see up here the names that have appeared the most. So within the input file was obviously the word administrator, and the system has found administrator in 14,000 documents. But for more complicated names, you can go down and you can see that the number reduces. Any errors it finds, because sometimes it hasn't got permissions to access files, that appears in the error log. And then here, you can just look at all the individual files, all the file names. So you can search for a file name. So I could say, I don't know, make some user list. If I type in the word user, email or something, and hit enter, it's now going to give me all the names within files that have username or user list as a variable. The timing tab is very much about analyzing when these files were created. So you can start seeing the volume of personal identifiable information it being created, and you can also see by whom is most of it being created by. So that's hopefully quite self-explanatory. The third tab is very much looking at the owners. So this again looks at different extension types. So you can see most of the things are in Excel, and then this shows you the actual owners. So I can choose any owner and find all the personal identifiable information that that owner has created. So I might want to split this up based on the finance team to be able to, so I can go back to the finance head and say, this is all the personal identifiable information that you are responsible for. You need to do something about it. This one here is just to give you a helping hand. So what it's saying is, out of all the documents it's analysed, these are the files which have the greatest volume of personal identifiable information in it. So you can see it's found in someone's deleted folders, a Excel document, so it's been deleted, but it's still found its way onto the servers, and that contains 4,615 distinct names, and actually makes up 2% of the total names. So what this tells you is basically by addressing this small list in front of me, I could make a significant impact in how much personal identifiable information is dotted around the network estate. Owner-centric review, again, is looking at who owns the most data, and this one is taking a folder-centric view. So I can see on people's desktops are by far the majority of personal identifiable information. So this is probably people making reports, exporting things. Below that, I can see people have downloaded a lot of stuff. So that's creating some compliance issues for me, because people are downloading things that are potentially going to infringe my ability to meet my GDPR compliance. I can see things have been deleted, but they're still in deleted folders, so they've still found their way onto servers. And then below that, you can look at lots of other subfolders. So to the right, this again is taking a user-centric view of volumes. And then this final one, which looks quite pretty, is simply analyzing each owner and showing you within each owner what are the data types that have the most personal identifiable information. So for instance, this person here, most of their stuff is in Excel documents, and then that one, whichever that says, which I'm struggling reading, that's the newer Excel, this is older Excel, and then there's PDFs, etc., etc. So you can get a very good view of the types of applications that are being used, because ultimately you're probably going to need slightly different strategies for working out what you do about it. Now, unfortunately, the tool doesn't solve any of this. It simply gives you a view as to what is going on at the moment. And from that, having that informed view, you know the size of the task in front of you, but also it allows you to look at the problem in slightly different ways and work out, if we're going to prioritize our efforts, what activities can we do to have the most profound impact on our ability to be compliant. And, you know, it's very difficult to know you've done absolutely everything. So it's always going to be a case of prioritization, and the tool helps you achieve that. Now, there are other products out there on the market that are very expensive, quite complicated to deploy. You know, we created this because we believe there is not a simple tool that can be easily downloaded, run by an IT team or run by a small business, that gives an immediate handle on what is there. And so this is why we've used products like ClickView, because we know it's free for you guys to download. So this tool, we believe, is a very cost-effective way of determining what's going on. And once you've done that initial discovery, then, you know, and you're running all your GDPR processes and you're staying on top of it, the tool can be used to both perform an audit. So when your team is telling you, yes, we are fully compliant, you can run this tool just to make sure they are. And also, if you get a subject access request, a data access request, you can use the tool to type the name in, and immediately across your whole estate, it will tell you where that data resides. So you can then have more confidence that you're getting rid of the appropriate data. So that sort of brings us to the end of this demo. I've probably spoken a bit too quickly, so apologies. I hope you've all heard what I've said. I know I said 15 minutes. I think it's running into 30 minutes. Happy to answer any questions. If you guys have any questions, I'll give it a minute for people to type stuff in. If you could do into chat, so you should have a chat icon on your screen. So if you do have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or Andrea. Or have we been talking to ourselves for? I can see there's quite a few attendees on, so I'm assuming people are there. I did a webinar for the Law Society, I know, but generally. Okay, well, if there's no questions, I just want to thank you all for your time. We'll be doing another one of these on the 7th of February, so slightly different time. I'm hoping to catch people at a convenient time during the day. We've been recording this, so I'll put the video on the website, so it should be available to download. So thank you all very much for your time, and again, if you've got any questions, please let us know. We'd be delighted to help you. So thank you very much.